Kristin, as we get ready to wrap up, any final thoughts or advice for people looking at their property management system?
Look, I guess the thing that comes to mind is to say be brave. And, people are going to say, well, what does he mean by be brave? I think we have still here, people are potentially very hesitant about looking at their PMS and really taking a look in depth and making that commitment to change if they're not using. It's been a case of a set and forget. We get there because, I'll use this one because it's what everyone else is using, or I'll go this one because I know this hotel's using it, so I want to be like them and I'm going to use that one as well. And we've tended to put that in, and as things have evolved and we've seen PMS have a lot more features and a lot more functionality, and obviously there's a lot more integrations and capabilities that can go into it as well, we're finding people are just not necessarily looking at this and thinking, okay, am I still using the best solution for my hotel? Coming back to what we said about what people should be looking at, are you taking the time to look and sit there and think at my PMS, is that really what is best for me and my operations? Could be a case of, again, it was 10 years ago when you put it in, but your hotel operations itself may have evolved, whether it's just a shift in how you decided you want to operate the hotel as a way to differentiate yourself. It could be because you've rebranded and now what you were doing with your previous brand as part of their brand standard is not what applies to your new brand standard with your new management company. But we're not then going, okay, well, is ABC the best one for me? And because of the fact that the PMS is that nerve center and it does control so much, it is daunting. And I think a lot of people are looking at that going, oh, they're getting cold feet. They don't necessarily want to be able to commit. So what I mean by saying be brave is be brave to take that step. Don't just feel like you have to do it because, it's a lot of work, etc. As we've spoken about and touched on at different times throughout this discussion, there are so many ways that we can improve the operations of the hotel for our staff, to improve efficiencies, but most importantly of all, to provide the best possible service for our guests. Now, if you're going to stick with one that's not going to do that, you're potentially going to fall behind your competitors. You're also not going to be able to give the best experience for your guests, so they're not necessarily going to be able to come back. You're not providing a great experience for your staff. They're not going to be as enthused to come every day. They're potentially going to go somewhere else. A commitment of money or time or whatever it might be that you need to do that is going to pay itself off in the long run, not just pure return on investment. I think a great way to look at this, a good phrase to use, and something that we certainly like to use as our driver is ROE, which is return on experience. Look at what return you're going to get on the experience, and that can cover a different, what return are you going to get on your experience for your staff using a system that has all these features that they're going to be able to use, that they've been crying out for, that will make their job so much easier, or that brings everything together in a single click rather than having to jump through. Instead of something maybe taking 10, 15 minutes, that it's now going to take 5. So one, they've got a lot more time to be more efficient, but two, they're going to feel a lot less stressed. They're going to be a lot more relaxed at work, which in turn then means they're going to provide a better service to the guests and increase the guest experience that way. But then obviously, yes, you're looking at the experience from a guest perspective. It's going to take them from the moment of the time they make the decision to come and stay at your hotel, from the time they've now stayed and departed the hotel and everything in between. You're looking at a system that is going to make every touch point you have and every interaction you have with your guests during that time the best possible experience they can have. And that is what you want, because that covers so many things. As you know, the greatest business you can have is that return business, because you don't really have to sell them anything. They're going to come back and be willing to spend their money and their time. They're also going to be your greatest marketers, because they are the ones that are going to tell their friends, oh, I stayed here at this hotel and, we went away for this. It's absolutely fantastic. You should go there. You can have the flip side of that, where if they have a very bad experience, they're going to be the greatest detractors for your hotel. So that's why you want to make sure that you're giving them the best possible experience. And so having whatever systems you can do, anything that you can do to assist that and make that easier for you, it just makes sense. So all I can say to everyone out there is be brave. Take the opportunity, particularly now as we're coming out of the other side of the pandemic, and we've been using this last 2 years to really review our operations. We know that operations have had to change because of how we have to adapt now to things that have sort of become the new normal. Look at what systems you've got. Look at what is going to work for you. Is this going to be the best for you? If you think that there's some deficiencies there, by all means, take a look, see what's out there, speak to some other vendors. It might be a case of you might be able to take those ideas back to your vendor, but you could also then find a new vendor that's going to be able to do what is everything that you want and provide that for you. And you're going to make life so much easier. You're going to have so much better guests, and you're going to have ultimately, yes, there'll be an ROI, but ultimately have that return on experience, which is the ultimate thing. We all go to a hotel, not for a transaction, but go to a hotel for an experience. So that is really critical. So that would be my one takeaway for everyone. By all means, please, please, please have a look at what is best for you and be flexible, be adaptable.
Love that. Return on experience. And I love the fact that you picked up on the point that staff are extremely important in that experience as well. You know, it's not just the guest experience that we need to be concerned about. We need to be delivering tools to our team that makes their job easier. Yeah, that's critical, and something that we probably wouldn't have thought of years ago, but we're now coming round to that point. And I've heard a couple of people say, I think it was Girish from Ovolo said, you know, that one of the things he realized out of the pandemic is that the staff experience and the guest experience, in a sense, should be treated equally. They should have equal measure given to them, because, as you pointed out quite rightly, if your staff are happy that reflects basically upon the guest experience that they deliver at the end of the day. And it's not rocket science. It's, you know, we go back many, many years, and I can't remember the first time I heard it, but Richard Branson's famous for saying, basically, you know, if you look after your staff look after your guests. Happy guests mean happy shareholders. You know, that's where it should start with your staff.
That's exactly right. And that's the thing. Yes, we've got a lot of these automations and everything that's fantastic, and obviously going to make life a lot easier and take a lot of processes that are potentially very still manual and make them a lot more automated. Bottom line is, regardless of how many staff we have, how many potential areas that we've maybe covered with technology in lieu of staff, whether it's because we want to make things more efficient or we want to make, we're covering for staff shortages, which is obviously a critical piece at the other side of the pandemic. Ultimately, we are still going to have staff there, and we are a service industry.
Yep.
You're never going to be able to take away from that. What can differentiate between two hotels that have got exactly the same physical features is going to be that staff service. You might not necessarily have the flashiest new rooms or anything like that, but I might choose to stay with your hotel because, yeah, I can go to that one. It's got these really nice new rooms, but the service, it's not that great. It's a little bit mechanical or robotic, or just doesn't feel warm. Whereas I might go somewhere, yes, the rooms might not be quite so flash, but I'm going to get that warm, personal, friendly service that's going to be happening every time. So if you are able to do whatever you can to help your staff to have that, again, be happy at work, which means that's going to reflect in themselves, but also those efficiencies are going to give them more time to address the guest needs. It's not going to be a case of them stressing because I've got to do this and I've got to do this, but then I've got to, someone in front of me, they've got a lot more time freed up. They can go out there and, you know, are good, as we were sort of discussing this internally with things that are going to be the future. And, you know, I think a phrase that one of my colleagues, Chris, used, as well as becoming staff, your staff are almost going to become wellness managers, because they're going to be making sure the wellness and well-being of your guests during their stay is critical and paramount, and they're going to be the ones that are the driver of that. So you really need to look at it from that perspective, is that, yes, the technology is going to be great and fantastic, but it's still going to be your staff. But you need to know that, okay, the technology is going to help your staff to be able to be better equipped and have more time freed up to really give that service for the guests.
Yeah, great point.